Were you able to get access?
Nah, I wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
I didn't get the link to log into it.
All right, I'll send it to you. But yeah, welcome back to episode 2 of the Tomorrow Podcast, man, with Noah and my host partner
Man,
Mansa.
we
We
locked in.
got we got uh we got ourselves a show today, man. I think there's a lot. I mean, there's obviously a lot. I don't know if there's anything on your mind to start off. Just I know there's we got the overseas, the Middle East, things are
Yeah, I
going down
mean,
over there.
yeah, man. It's always something on my mind, and something that's just real crazy because we was talking about it yesterday about, international travel, optional places where people who feel like or perceive the American dream to be dead for them, or they don't feel like chasing it. What are the other options out there? And Israel just bombed Doha and Qatar. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So it's like it's a lot of development going on in the Middle East, but it's like, and I'm just saying, they actually,
they
according
claimed
to
it.
the official reports, yeah, they claim that they accept ownership of it because they said one of the Hamas guys, military leaders or something like that, was in that city, which is wild because if somebody that you want is in any country, you can just zap them like that. That's wild. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
because there's,
crazy.
there's obviously tens of thousands of Americans in Qatar. I mean, Qatar is one of
Yeah,
the safe zones. It's Abu Dhabi, Dubai, that whole UAE
yeah,
region is known for safety. It's known for being like a hub for the elites. And so to see
yeah.
that nobody's off limits, especially in the Middle East, because we've seen it in Iran, we've seen it in the local regions around, but I never thought that Qatar or Dubai or UAE would ever be a part of that. I thought they would always just remain outside, influence, proxies to what's happening. But Israel don't play, bro.
Well, yeah, man, that's
If they
wild. Yeah,
want you, they'll deal with the consequences later. Like they are
yeah,
all
that's
about
the that's
their
the
mission.
philosophy
That is
of
it. Yeah, no, without a doubt. Like we'll do what we need to do now, whatever that comes with. Like,
what they say. They say I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. You know what I'm saying?
well, I
That's what
mean, there's
people.
definitely permission there with the U.S. I would have to believe that the U.S. There's no way that
Really?
yeah, because there's reports about how Trump
Do you think? Do you
gathered
think?
gathered them into the facilities that they were at because they were negotiating.
Do you think Trump's in control or Israel's in control?
Israel's in control, but America's aware. They're aware.
Yeah.
Like
So I
this is
mean,
what we're
when
gonna.
we
This is what
say
we're gonna do. Type thing. You know what I mean? Like we're keeping you informed for the most part. I don't think, but
yeah,
yeah, I
but
think
when
they're
you
pulling
say
the trigger.
yeah, I mean
Yeah, that's true.
if they're in control, then they're telling the U.S. what to do. It's not the U.S. telling them
Damn,
what to
bro,
do.
that's such a
You know what I'm
tough pill to.
saying? Yeah, yeah, that's what I know. A lot of people, but it happens, man. You know what I'm saying? It happens to the best of countries. It happens.
How
This
though?
is
How did this happen? How do you
well,
think this
it's
happened?
I mean, it's like, man, if you that's why I watch so many like people ask me like you always watch so much medieval movies and movies
Mm,
about government, government spy agent. This is what the game. This is political theater. And if you can get inside, it's just a game of political will, man. If you have an agenda politically and you can attach yourself to the most powerful nation, you know what I mean, and figure out how to control it like a parasite, why not? You know what
mm,
I'm saying? Like in that game, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
regular people don't think like the elites and play the games that they're in. They're in the business of controlling the world. This is
yeah,
their business. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? This is where they, express their talents. This is where they socialize at. They're in the business of running the world. And
Mm,
so
mm,
the U.S. as an apparatus, like, see, a lot of people don't like what Israel is doing. And I'm not talking on a humanitarian level. We all know like genocide is clearly, wrong, but this isn't the first genocide. See, and let me say this too, like,
you say they don't like what they're doing or how they're doing it? Because what they're doing
people don't
is
people don't like what they're
understandable.
doing or how they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? In general, you know what I'm saying? Like, because of all of the children and stuff that's dying, the innocent
Exactly.
people, right? So, but
Churches and
here's the
yeah.
thing. This is the funny thing about humanity. Because see, I have my biased leanings, but I'm aware that the biases I put in place are not blinders for me. Like when we're critiquing humanity, it is common for humanity to be oppressed and oppress others while they're being oppressed. Because one of the I don't know if it's a tool of propaganda to target black people in America from supporting Palestine. But no, now there's a circulation of the fact that in a town in Gaza is called Al Abid, which means slave. You know what I'm saying? And there's like a whole town of like 11,000. I don't know if it
I'll
still
be,
is. It
yeah.
might have been wiped out, but it's like 11,000 Black Palestinians that live there. And, they're the second class citizens there. They get treated like, they call Alabi, you know what I'm saying? And so there was also some
Mm,
stuff where some people went from America over there to like help with the relief efforts. And some of the Black women there was complaining about like some of the racism that they was experiencing by the Palestinians. You know what I'm saying?
interesting.
Right. And so, it was the Palestinians that called the cops on George Floyd. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
at the liquor store.
Yeah, at the
Yeah,
liquor store thing. And it come to find out, I don't think he actually he didn't use he didn't
a
give
fake.
them a fake 20 or whatever. Now listen, I'm not saying like,
Exactly. Yeah,
yo,
yeah. Okay.
but this is the game, in the game of propaganda now, like a major component to the support for the Palestinians is by way of, a lot of the other minority groups, in particular, African Americans. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
And so with that coming to light, and then there was some other issues that they had from like something that happened on TikTok between these content creators and stuff like that. People complaining about whether they're gonna vote for Kamala, or Trump, or they're going to boycott Kamala because of the support for Israel. So my point is, in the game of political theater, all of these things become tools to be used to sway opinion and
mm,
perspectives. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
when, but it also goes to show, humanity. If they're oppressing, there may be others they're oppressing. You see? So as
Mm,
Muslims, we say, Allah help those who, help themselves, right? And so if
yeah.
these people are harming themselves by oppressing others, they may be, uh, I'm not saying they deserve to get what they have, what's happening, but I'm just saying this is the funny thing about humanity, man.
Yeah.
Like, so we can't, so, to take certain positions
Yeah. Like
objectively.
oftentimes we try to
Mhm.
oftentimes we try to perceive the ones that are being oppressed as like the innocent.
Right, right. This
We
is
view
Earth,
them as
man.
like
Nobody's innocent.
you know what I mean? Nobody's innocent. Nobody.
Not as a
There's
group,
no like
women and kids,
pure
children. Yeah, children,
100%.
yes.
There's
You
no
know what I'm
pure good
saying?
and evil. Yeah, of course. No, 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 of course. I mean, that's obvious. If you're
Yeah, yeah.
even contemplating that
Right,
as like part of what I'm saying, but if
right.
you're saying you understand that nobody's purely good or evil, there are variations and there's a spectrum, right?
Yeah,
But to just
yeah.
believe that because one side is being oppressed, and we know this, and how do we know this? Because we've seen this in the Quran. We've seen this with Musa alayhi salam when he knocked the nigga out and killed him, and he was doing it in pursuit of helping his brother,
Someone
who we
else.
thought
Right,
was being oppressed. And then he
right,
turned up the next day, and then they was still in the fight. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
oh, you're just because you're getting beat up, don't mean you're the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a misconception that we oftentimes correlate. You know, the victim, the slave, whatever. Like, it's not as black and white as people try to put it. Obviously, there are
Yeah,
boundaries to this, like you said, women and children, churches, like
yeah,
those are acts of terrorism. I mean,
yeah.
nobody universally will agree with that, but yeah, I think there's a fine
It's
line.
layered. So I brought that up for a purpose. I brought that up to say, in the game of ruling the world, propaganda, controlling narratives is really key. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't understand the way the U.S. was set up. It was set up so that corporations and foreign investors could come and manipulate the system, because that's what capitalism is about. Capitalism is about exploiting labor to increase the maximum amount of capital profit you can gain. You see? So when the very foundations, one of the founding fathers, he said the price of liberty was debt for the United States. So they're saying their capacity to be free as a political body depended on them incurring a lot of debt. So like a lot of people don't realize that America is the battleground for foreign nations to compete for control over business here, right? This is why you have the United States. Other than the natives that were here and the black people that was here that built everything, everybody else of all levels is an immigrant here. What makes one American is basically the citizenship, right? Based on the oath or whatever that's taken. So you got like the largest ethnicity here in America, like single ethnicity, group of people from a single, is Germans. They have the largest, yeah, I know, it's shocking.
No way. Nah, nah,
Yeah, if
nah,
you
nah.
look it up, Germans, it's like 80 million of them or something like that
In America,
in America, Germans. So the point I'm making is it's designed for
as of 2022, you're right, 41.1 million, the largest self-reported ancestral group in America.
the Germans. How much?
Germans, yeah, yeah, 41.1
All
million.
right, yeah, I said 80. Well, I don't know where I got that number from, but
But
yeah,
they are
so
the largest ethnicity in America. I did not
right.
know that, bro. And they're all located like in the Midwest. That
Exactly.
is
Right.
wow.
Right. Right. Now, is it making sense to you about, you know what I'm saying? Like when we start looking at demographics, America is a battleground for foreign nations to compete here to do business. And one nation was able to take over at a greater level because all
Mm,
nations have interests here. That's why they named it the United States of America, because anybody could join the union and based on them doing business. They came here to do business. They didn't come here to set up some kind of utopia. I'm
yeah,
saying they came here so that you have a freedom to do business. Anybody could come up here. Anybody from any nation could come up here. And now what's happening is
which
certain
makes
other
sense.
nations, right? That's what it was set up for.
No, no, it makes sense in the sense that America was really created as like a casino for you to cash out and then take whatever resources, go back to your country and rebuild. Kind of like what Israel's doing. It wasn't meant for
Right.
places, people for to stay and build here. At least that's how I'm perceiving it, and I'm seeing it like across the world globally. But yeah,
hmm
good.
No. You're 100% right. When you
Yeah,
factor in
farming.
like they definitely set up here to be here, right? But the it was always the intention to serve the world the needs of the rest of the world because the price of its liberty is its debt. And so also when you factor in how America, the United States, has the Federal Reserve, a private bank, right? They call it a private bank, but it's really just a de facto extension of the U.S. Treasury. It gives the United States government an opportunity to outsource its money, its printing from a private side so that the money isn't devalued as quickly as it would be if they was printing it themselves. You see what I'm saying? Because
Mm,
now global trade is happening in US dollars. See? So all I'm saying is that one group of one nation was able to get more power here than the others. And that's really what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
Like, I'm not saying it should be that way. I'm not saying I like it that way. I'm saying that's what this is.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, this is what this country is about. Like, you come here, you compete, you set up businesses, you exploit labor. You do what you can do to get as much money as possible. That's
I
it.
wanna I wanna go back to the black agenda. You mentioned, the Afro-Palestinians and then
hmm
and then African Americans and what because I haven't really looked into
hmm
anything regarding like African Americans or black people when it comes to what's happening overseas or in general. I mean,
hmm
but what
Yeah.
do you believe their position should be? Like, if you're African American, you're black in America, you see all that's going on. I know we talk about the tomorrow, right? Clarity.
hmm
Let's I mean, I wasn't intending on going this route, but let's pivot and kind of I just gauge what do you believe that should be? What should be the agenda of the black collective? I know it's a
Well,
big question, but I know this is like
no,
basic,
yeah,
but this is your like domain. So
yeah,
like yeah, I'm curious because like yeah,
definitely,
I haven't really heard anything, especially because NFL's back on and so like there, you know what I mean? Like the
yeah,
distractions are back. So, but what do you think that
yeah.
should be?
Well, I mean, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, just for so that we can either elaborate on it or get to some other things. But what's happening right now is you got this thing going on called the Diaspora Wars, right? It's continental Africans are beefing with everybody's beefing with each other. Just put it like that. But the dynamics is you got continental Africans, you got Africans who are in the diaspora that left the continent of Africa. You have the Caribbeans, you got Afro Latinos, you got the Black Europeans, you got the Afro Asians, you got the Black Americans, and then you got like in the Black American sector, you got foundational Black Americans. and you got American descendants of slaves. This is a movement to delineate to say, okay, we're the ones who are descendants of the slavery from here, which is different from anybody else who came here at a different level, right? So these are all the factions. So what I always say again, like I said yesterday, this is the first time that everybody's been able to communicate in real time. You know what I mean? And then considering the biggest victims or the ones who lost the war, the global war, would be Africans and melanated people all around the world being subjected to, what happens when you lose a war. Cause see, that's the other thing. Like people act like, people, they just did this to us, and, it was a war. It was a global war. The description of everything is about narrative and framing. The description of colonialism and imperialism was the European powers taking over the global international trade that already existed, and that's really what it's about. You know what I'm saying? And so, and there were wars before that. There was wars leading up to that, and then it culminated into a global war, and black people everywhere just lost. That's just what happened.
everywhere.
You know what I'm saying? And so now, after all of that and everything that happened in between, we have the opportunity to talk to each other. So there's a lot of boundaries that's being set. There's a lot of understanding. There's a lot of different things that's occurring. There's a lot of conflicts. These are what I see as the growing pains to something that's emerging that's far greater. Because I'm watching a lot of white Americans talk about what opportunities are in Africa, like, and how it's the youngest population. 70% of African continental African population is below the age, it's 30 and under. So as the youngest population in the world, right?
Yeah, over
And all of
60% of its population is under 25, and the median age is 19.
look, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
and meanwhile, the whole world is having population issues when it comes to fertility
exactly,
and birth. Like that's
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. And then
yeah. It's
Serbia,
like they're building everything for us.
right, right. You see what I'm saying? Well, Serbia they want 100,000 educated Ghanaians to come into Serbia and work. So that, but here's the problem: the Serbian men are leaving, right, to look for better jobs in Western Europe, and the women are only having like 1.4 births per
Mm,
person so they're not having babies at replacement levels. Japan is trying to do something similar where they got these African centered cities. Remember what I
yeah,
told you yesterday about we talked about men and women being the main component here on earth. We might have said that yesterday, but
yeah.
the
Like
point
that's
I'm
the
making is,
micro. Like it starts with like yeah. That's the
so now,
foundation.
so what it is basically is they are what a lot of people in Europe didn't want to accept as well. And with a lot of this discussion about immigration and getting immigrants out and stuff like that, is the white birth population is declining
Yeah,
all over the world, right? They are importing Africans and black people and black men from other countries to help keep
yeah,
their population numbers up. This is what's really going on. Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And then also when you look at the African American population, the Black American population here has been 40 million for the last like 20 years. There's been like 20 million abortions or something like that since the 60s. Right. So
yeah,
you gotta think about, it's been mad abortions and they still been able to stabilize the population. You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? So like sometimes when people talk about, oh, the single motherhood and the broken families, well, the people who got families intact, who come from countries where their families is intact, they're not having babies at replacement levels.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? When we look at I seen something where Elon Musk was talking about, oh, the more educated, the
yeah,
least babies
yeah.
you have, and
The more educated, the least religious.
yeah,
The premise was the least religious you are, the more higher the education you have,
right,
the least amount of kids. Vice
right,
versa, the more religious, the less educated, the more
right,
children.
right. But he got 13 of them. So which one is he?
At least, yeah, yeah, we
You know what I'm
know.
saying? That we know of,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so that leads to the point that, look, there's an opportunity right now in the world where whether you say black people globally, African diaspora, whatever, have an opportunity to develop the future in a way where, we've never seen this before. Cause like right now you have
Since the Moors, at least
yeah,
not to
system
this
was right.
scale, but since the Moors, I would say like that
No.
it's been the diaspora, I would say like that, the Moors was like the pinnacle. Like that was the height of
Right.
African Americans or Africans, and then
African, yeah, yeah.
And then that's kind of we saw the departure of that with the Ottoman Empire. We saw all of it kind of deconstruct, and now this is like the revival,
Right.
almost like the
Right.
opportunity at
The
least. This is the
opportunity
potential
at least.
revival of that.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Because Africa has so much economic potential. And you know it has that type potential when you see investment money flowing there. Like it's become now the place where all the wealthy billionaires and millionaires want a vacation at. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
They want a
mm,
vacation there. You know, China's the number one investor there. You got so much other things. Matter of fact, I think Saudi Arabia or UAE, one of them countries is investing into some kind of big project in Kenya or one of the East African countries. So there's a lot of countries that are investing as countries. You see what I'm
yeah.
saying? And they're setting the stage for what's going to come. But see, this is why I talk about emerging markets, the global south. The most upwardly mobile opportunity that you're going to have economically is going to exist in those places.
What do you feel like with the cause of like the resistance within Africa? I know people in Africa now, the
Hmm.
investors and people that are trying to build like
Hmm.
NFL football leagues or equivalent to
Hmm.
that. I know people that
Hmm.
are Akon obviously
Hmm.
is known. He's been
Hmm.
ahead of this for like decades. But what do you think is what's the issue? Like why are black people or African Americans Africans not able to obviously depression, but what do you think is causing this
I think,
inability?
yeah, I think, there's one thing that I've observed in this, even in the diaspora wars is regardless of language and cultural nuance, cultural differences, the same everywhere. You know what I
Everywhere,
mean?
bro.
On some type of
Yeah.
level, there's an underlying thing.
Crazy. Yeah, yeah, no, yeah.
So there's betrayal, there's corruption. These are impediments to faster progress. You see what I'm saying? And this is due to colonialism and imperialism. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing, like when I look at the African nations, right? The African nations have a problem with corrupt governments and their leaders being puppets, and they sell out the people, and they are raised to be the best among their people, the most educated, the most resources. And some of them, you know, they threaten them like, if you don't do what we say, we'll kill you, of course. But the point is the leadership is sold out. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
our puppets. Same
mm,
thing when we look at the Black American or the African American community in America, the boule, you know, you often hear about the boule and the talented 10% and all of this. And you know, like Ralph Lauren came out with a campaign called Oak Bluffs, where they were acknowledging the Black elite among American society. And so some people came out who were from the lower classes complaining, saying they don't represent us. That's not what we use Ralph Lauren from. And then you have some of the elitist Blacks come out and be like, you know, just because we didn't grow up in poverty like the rest of y'all don't mean this ain't an accurate representation, right? But
mm,
it's that class that is perceived and oftentimes the sellout class. You see what I'm saying?
mm.
Regardless of, you know, regardless of what, it's usually the wealthy, educated class among a group of oppressed people that is in the leadership positions. And a lot of times they sell out for their own safety, you know, because they may get threatened with a,
You believe they're genuinely selling out. It's not like it's not the perception of like the lower middle class. It's like they're actually selling out. Kind of like you
no, no,
see
no,
within
no.
hip hop, right? You see like the
Yeah,
Jay-Z's and
yeah, yeah.
like you're
I mean,
saying like
there's,
that's well, because on the other hand, you have like someone like a Nipsey or the ones that
mhm,
do stay, and then you
mhm.
see that what happens to them, right? Within their own communities.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just explaining the dynamics. I'm not saying
Yeah.
like, okay, look,
Like
it's
there's
like,
genuine fear, like black people when they become successful, their greatest fear is other black people. It's like
yeah, I
it's
mean, you got to
not,
deal with a lot. Like you got to deal with other black people hating on you, right, and your
yeah.
wealth and stuff like that, and then you got to deal with white folks trying to take your money from you. You know what I mean? Through
Mm,
some type of little legal financial loophole scheme. Because New
yeah.
York Times did an article and they said that even if you're born rich as a black man, not black women, but as a black man in America, by the time you're dead, you probably be bankrupt. The system will find some kind of way to take your money from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And you
you see
seen
that
it
with
with
Michael
Diddy. You
Jackson,
see it
Bill
with Michael
Cosby,
Jackson, Bill
Diddy. Yeah,
Cosby. You
they'll
know what I'm
take your
saying?
assets, let alone your. They'll make sure you go home with
So
nothing.
you got to deal with a lot, right? So I'm just saying that, like in most cases, they did sell out because it's like
What do you mean by sellout?
sellout is when you take money,
Hmm.
right, and participate in the destruction of your own people. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying?
Okay.
Like if
Gotcha.
like for instance, like let's say you in real estate, right? You got a bunch of property in an area that some other people or whoever else want to come and buy that property so they can build, and this is a real case scenario, build bulldoze and build like a highway through your community. And you be like, yeah, give
Yeah.
me that money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Forget the
Or
rest of them.
gentrify.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, but see, here's the other thing. I believe there's a balance, right? Gentrification is good. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Like I watch Brooklyn, like people complain about old Brooklyn. I mean, listen, I love how I grew up, but bro, that wasn't a normal way to grow up. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's
That's
just
how
not a
Oakland.
normal way
It's
to
same
grow
with
up.
Oakland.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm
It's like
saying?
it's not. Yeah.
So the gentrification it made it better in the context that like if you got chicken shacks in the hood and like if you want to as a businessman, you want to set up a business, you'd be like, I want to put up a business here. Well, what's the demographic here? Okay, they make about this much money. So what type of business they shop at? Dollar Tree, Family Value, Chicken Shack, fast
Walmart.
food, Walmart. You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna put the things that their demographic gravitates to and buy. If you want to raise and revitalize that community, the only thing you can do is create job program, job training skill program that equip those people in the community to upskill and kind of get better jobs. But you're going to have to bring the young professionals in. There's no way around that. You're going to, and then
Yeah.
when you bring the young professionals in, that's when you get your LA Fitness or your Lifetime, your Whole Foods, your Trader Joe's. You see the different
Mm.
stores, you
Mm.
have a different market that they cater to. You see what
'Cause
I'm
that's
saying?
when once you build the safe space, you're saying essentially is when the other markets will come in and invest into it. Once they see that there's opportunity here for us to flourish. But
Well,
why? But why
look,
isn't that the case with why are Black people not able to restore that on their own? Well, what's preventing that? Like in Chicago, right? You've seen
well,
Trump come through in Chicago. Like why can't we self-regulate and create these environments? Or are there or maybe we have. I mean, in Oakland with the Black Panthers, we saw that there were opportunities and times when we did do that, and there was an intentional attempt to destroy that. So maybe
that's the
so
thing.
then
That's the
so yeah,
thing. So
that's
they,
what people
they
don't really talk about. But when it
right.
does come to self-destruction and self-sabotage, all of a sudden there's more drugs, more guns, in like
Right.
then the investment comes in a different way. So
Exactly.
so there is a
Yeah.
system that is opposing and it's real. Systemic racism is a real
Yeah.
thing. And
So
it affects every race, but like specifically with Black people, there is an intention behind keeping them down. I mean, even Planned Parenthood, all of it. I mean, it's like it's a real on warfare.
yeah, yeah. I mean, significance of what we're discussing is part of the larger scheme because it's like when you understand history,
Yeah,
it's actually black folks who's supposed to keep the lid and monitor white folks.
yeah.
But that's just the reality. When you even look at the
Mm.
science and the history, genetically they are children. Every non-black person
Yeah,
has
but I'm just
mitochondria
imagine
DNA.
Nick Fuentes watching this, just
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
losing his shit.
Yo,
No,
the
no,
way he washed up Candace Owens, I was surprised. I'm like, she don't got enough. I
she's not
always say
rooted.
you gotta know your history. You know what I'm saying? He,
Yeah,
yeah,
the things you're saying, I can just imagine him just losing his. No, for sure, for sure. And he's good at diagnosing part of the problem, but he's not identifying with what we're talking about here.
right,
Like
right,
he's not
right,
acknowledging this reality. And I
right.
think that's where he's being disingenuous. But yeah, go
So
ahead.
when they tell you like prove that there's systemic racism, right? They make it like you making this thing up, right? Well, here's the
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
Like you're
They say you
choosing
keep
this.
bringing up slavery. It's not just slavery. We start in slavery because after slavery there was Jim Crow. After Jim
Hmm.
Crow there was
Yeah,
mass incarceration, drugs, this COINTELPRO, all of these different redlining.
yeah.
Like you're
Not even to
talking,
mention the hip hop industry and
yeah,
the
the hip,
infiltration of that between the CIA. I mean, that's what I sent you some videos. I'm on that right
yeah,
now. That's what I'm watching
yeah.
more of.
I mean, you have rappers come out and admit it. Like Too Short
Yeah,
from Oakland. He said, yo, when he
yeah.
first came out, he was trying to
Hmm.
rap positive. They told him, no,
Yeah,
if you rap about that, we drop you from the label. Now he could have said, I'm not going to do it, but you know, everybody trying to eat, right? So he went ahead and did it.
yeah.
I'm not knocking, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, you know, that's,
That's definitely selling out. But yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So, but hey, you know what I mean? At that point when you're in poverty, you like, yo, you know what I mean?
no, for sure.
The circumstances and conditions put you in position to do that. But
Yeah,
not even to just go too much. It's just the point is let's lay out some of those systemic racism factors that we just mentioned. Every time
Yeah.
black folks tried to, check this out. After slavery, marriages were like exploded. Black people would get married in poverty, right?
Mm,
Coming fresh out of slavery, right?
mm,
So this narrative that we don't like forming families, that was engineered by the government. When we look at
mm,
the first movie ever made was A Birth by a Nation, right? The first movie
mm.
ever made was about the first movie in the world was about,
No way.
yeah, the first movie in the world, Birth of a Nation, was about the Ku Klux Klan killing black folks. That was the first
Mm.
movie,
Gonna remind you,
right?
be like, yeah, we got, yeah.
Every time we created communities, they came and burned it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when people say, oh, when they talk about getting more education, we had the HBCU since the 1800s. They did the education thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they created something called a Homestead Act. In the Homestead Act, they gave every white citizen land and resources to farm. They said the policy was you can't get it if you black. I
Wow.
mean, the New Deal, there were new deals where they gave white families welfare. They said you can't get it if you black. Like, you're talking about government exclusion from things that every citizen is supposed to get. So it's not they engineered the problem. Black communities,
Mm,
the crimes are crimes of poverty. That's it. Those are the type
yeah,
of crimes that come with this poverty. You can go anywhere in the world to an impoverished place. You're going to get robbings, muggings. You know,
yeah,
Nick Fuentes is complaining about
yeah. That's
somebody
another, yeah.
mugged my parents, so I got
I don't
robbed.
feel
Like,
comfortable going out at night and yeah, 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 yeah.
let's talk
But you
about
feel
why
comfortable being in America. You talking about, yeah, let's see, white crime. White crime is scaled black crime. Like, yeah,
72% of pedophilia. Excuse me. I don't know if you can say that term.
pedophiles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pedophiles?
But they got some kind of thing where I notice people
On
say,
YouTube?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but every platform got these little things where if you say it, you know, they strike your joint. So I don't know, but the whole thing about that is there's 72% plus of the convicted crimes for those particular crimes, right? So
Mm,
what's making you do that versus what's making somebody rob somebody at the liquor store? We know why you robbing somebody at the liquor store. You broke.
mm,
You ain't got no opportunity. That's you know what I'm saying? We know why you
yeah,
doing that, but why are you doing this?
yeah,
That's a psychological problem on a whole deeper level.
yeah, that for sure.
So, you know, man, like, it's all propaganda. That's what I'm saying. Everything is about framing and narratives. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If you can put black crime out there like the worst thing, I'm gonna come into Chicago. Listen, if you talk to all of the Chicago OGs, they'll tell you they used to, as kids, wake up, and even happens now, they used to wake up, go like to the train tracks or go somewhere. There's boxes of firearms just sitting
Mm,
there. Like,
yeah.
come on,
We
man.
hear the same thing. We hear that with George Soros and these riots. It just happen to be bricks everywhere that show up at the right time. Like, yeah, even with the drugs. I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, 100%. I think that's the part that's disingenuous when
The
you're not acknowledging.
CIA acknowledged that they flooded the black communities with drugs on purpose to fund the
Yeah,
Contra wars in South America.
you talking about the '90s, the crack epidemic?
Yeah, they said that.
Yeah,
See, that's what Snowfall is about.
yeah.
Snowfall is about,
Credible show, credible show. Freeway
come
Ricky.
on,
Yeah,
come on, bro. So,
yeah,
like, it's not this stuff is like people like to ignore these things
yeah.
when they judge the black, and then what they do is they try to judge the black community based on the worst of it and judge
Mm,
everybody else based on the best it is. If we pull out the best of the black community, you would have to contribute, literally, you would have to contribute African Americans with creating the modern world. There isn't an invention, modern times, not just in slavery times, because they created a whole bunch of stuff during slavery and Jim Crow and all these eras. But even when we talk about GPS, home security systems, refrigerators, airplane engines, I mean, doorknob, the table, like, it's so many different things that Black American folks have created to benefit the world in a modern era that you would say, yo, you can't say this group of people lose. They basically invented the modern world. So it's that propaganda I'm talking about. If the way you can frame something and spin the narrative is and convince people of that is what's going to give you the most political power in this era. You know what I'm saying?
and then that's all you show. That's the portrayal you show on media, online news. It's like the worst. World star hip hop culture. Like, it's like not
Right.
showing anything other than degeneracy and
Exactly.
violence. So I get it, Nick Fuentes thing. Like, he's not gonna invest time into African American or black culture in that way. He's not looking, but
He should though.
yeah,
You know why he should?
no, he should. No, no, I know. I'm saying, but most people are just taking in what's being given to them on that
But
level.
the reason they should is because they don't realize that number one, whatever gets tested on the black community gets
Oh yeah,
exported now to
scales,
the rest of the
scales.
world.
Yeah,
We're the testing
yeah,
ground.
the litmus
Black
test. Yeah.
exactly. You see what I'm saying? So they test it on black Americans and then they'll export it to the rest of the world or to the rest of the country. You see?
Hmm.
And then like so what the stuff he's complaining about when it comes to feminism and all of these issues that he talked about, who you think hit first? That hit the black
Atlanta.
community first. No, I'm just saying it
Yeah,
hit the black community first. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So yeah,
No, no,
yeah, you
I
know.
get that. I get that. And yeah, no, that's why do you think that there's such a strong intent on suppressing black people? What is it that they're afraid of? Because
Well, and when
it almost seems like we have super. You know what I mean? It's like what's that one Netflix joint?
Supercell.
Supercell. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
almost
yeah,
feels like there's some truth to that. I mean, we know, but we talk about the melanin and the power within just
yeah,
our skin, let alone
yeah, yeah,
spiritually.
yeah,
And you look into the
yeah,
history of like, you know, even religiously, it just seems like that's the one thing the world is like in agreement with.
yeah,
We have to keep
yeah,
them, and we
yeah,
have to dilute Islam.
yeah,
Like those seems
yeah.
it seems to be like
It's
the
parallel. It's
two,
parallel.
yeah, it seems to be like the
Yeah,
two main, like everybody comes together, like we don't agree on anything, but
right,
we cannot let them come back, and
right,
we cannot let people understand what Islam really is about. Like
right,
those are like the
right,
two common, I think, agendas that I've realized like nobody has a problem with.
right.
And
Everybody's
so
on
what
board
do
with
you
that.
on board? Like that seems to be like there's a collective trauma of like these
Hmm.
black men came, they took all our women, we have
Yeah, and that's
no
really what it come
chance.
down to.
We have no chance whenever we thrive. Like we see
Yeah,
dosages of that, you know, within
yeah,
individuals being successful.
yeah,
Black men always want to take everybody with them. Like we can't
yeah,
allow
right.
that kind of person to thrive. And then you on top of that you want to be Muslims. The black Muslim is like the complete. It's like the
Yeah,
top of the list of
yeah, yeah,
like the Malcolm X. You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's
Storm.
like we can
Yeah,
allow
the
Martin.
storm.
You know, Christians are like, yeah, we'll turn the other cheek.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you throw a black guy who's Muslim, that
yeah.
seems to
Nah,
just they seem to like shit themselves just thinking about
yeah,
the potential of that. And then
yeah.
we look into like
Because
the
it's the
religious
polo.
history of prophets, right? And how even
Right.
this the narrative of who they were ethnically,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Like a lot of these
Hmm.
prophets were black. And
Yeah,
nobody
exactly.
growing up, nobody taught
Exactly.
me that. I had to learn that on
Yo,
my own. And
yo,
I'm like,
exactly.
yo, that's powerful. All of them,
Exactly.
you watch
Yeah.
The Messenger, all these is white. Like, no, that's not even true. So
Oh,
like there's
you
this
going there, you going there today, man,
no,
cause
that
see,
because that part pisses me off. When it comes to the religion, that's when I get triggered. The way you get triggered when it comes to like the rate, like
yeah,
when it comes to like Islam and suppressing truth, especially truth that favors the oppressed,
right,
that to me is like it. That's when I read
yeah,
the Quran, I'm like, yeah, they hide the truth, they suppress the scripture. Like
right,
to me, that's what that's talking about. Because black people are like the ones that need it the most, and then
right.
you almost weaponize their superpower
Mhm.
against them when it comes to
Yeah,
like faith
yeah,
and
yeah,
spirituality. It's like
exactly. Yeah.
you
Wickedness.
bastards.
It's wicked. It's wicked. It's
That's
wicked.
wicked.
That's
It's like
wicked.
here's the medicine. It's like throw that shit. You throw them like some poison instead. It's like oh man, like the knowledge really is powerful. Like the right
Mm-hmm.
type of knowledge. When you become
Mm,
aware of like man,
mm,
these prophets were black,
mm.
bro.
Yeah,
So a lot of them were
100%.
black, bro.
Yeah.
Like these
Y'all
liars.
go check out Mustafa's Briggs book.
Oh, he's brilliant,
Yeah,
brilliant.
he
Yeah,
touches on that a lot. He delves into that a lot. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But no, you're right. You're right.
yeah.
You're right. It's a parallel for sure, and that's because, like, just to give some context, the Ku Klux Klan they used to say that Islam is a nigger religion.
Uh,
That's what they used to say. That's what they used to say
uh,
Islam was. They said Islam was a nigger religion, and
uh.
that's because and on my Morris History TV page on Facebook, there's a lot of North Africans and a lot of modern Arabs who, you know, and Europeans who come to the page and spew their displeasure with the notion that the Moors are black or African, you know?
They
And
dispute that? They try to dispute that?
oh yeah, yeah, they try to dispute. No matter how much evidence from those times that you present,
Wow.
they'll just
Yeah.
be like, no, y'all not those people.
Yeah,
But they
that's
are.
interesting. But you see
Right.
it everywhere, even like in popular mainstream. We've seen that like the Black Knight, right?
Yeah,
With Martin
exactly.
Lawrence. We see
Right.
that in what's that other movie you showed me? Where he talked about you didn't know you're a nigger, or he's like you didn't know you're black when he's getting interrogated. You remember the Irishman?
Yeah, love true romance. True romance.
True
Yeah,
romance.
true
Yeah,
romance. Yeah.
it's like
Exactly.
what you
Italian
talking
joint.
about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So so I bring that up to say this, like historically, the world understands historically, when you
They
check the
know.
historical record, when you check out what the people from those times, from the 1300s, the 1200s, the 800s, all of that, they said that the Arabs were black. They said that the Berbers were black. They said that the Moors were black. This is
Yeah,
what they said.
yeah,
So to them, when they seen Muslims coming into Europe and who they were fighting against were black African Muslims,
yeah.
that's who they were fighting. And I say it like that because there's some historical issues with the word Africa, but I won't go there this episode. But the point is black African Moors is who they saw as Muslims when they
Mm,
were during the Crusades. When they was coming to Jerusalem, they were fighting black African Muslims. You see what I'm
mm.
saying? Don't you know the Middle East just got created in like the 1900s, the early 1900s? You know what I'm saying? It was North Africa, but when they made the Suez Canal, maybe not in the early 1900s, but when they made the Suez Canal, that's when they tried to break off Arabia and all that stuff away from Africa. It was called
Yeah,
part of North
Saudi
Africa.
in 1930. Yeah,
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So these framing and narrative, right? So now you don't realize that, like when I go to Saudi, I see indigenous black Arabs in Saudi Arabia all the time. You know what I'm saying? When
mm,
I'm there, you know what I mean. So the point is that the parallels between this is because the Christian Crusades is what transformed into, or what had the directive of doctrine of discovery, which gave them the religious right to colonize the world. And in that, it was anywhere you see the Moors, so they call papal bulls and edicts. Anywhere you see the Moors, subject them to slavery, subject them, take their property. And that was a two-part deal. It was the fact that they were ethnically black and religiously Muslim.
mm,
So this is why those two in the ancient world were synonymous so many times.
mm,
This is why Moor is synonymous with Muslim, even though the word was used before the last revelation was sent among the Romans, right?
mm,
So what happening is the doctrine of discovery, those papal bulls and edicts, when those nations were formed based on the conquering of that doctrine, it turned to white supremacy because they made that category to apply to white European Christians. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? So all of these conflicts that you see as is a continuation of the Moors versus Romans conflict and the Europe and the Crusades. You know what I mean? Like some of the people that's in the government now, like Pete Hegseth or whatever, he's like a Christian nationalist. He's a white Christian nationalist. He said we want to bring the Crusades back. This is why you see an uptick against Muslims and a lot of bigotry now and religious intolerance is starting to spread more because the
that's part
crusade
of it. That's
is
part of it.
part
There
of
was a
it.
report as well we talked about when it came to Israel and the propaganda that they had the report about them
Hmm.
essentially trying to figure out how do we regain the trust of the world. And the only way
Hmm.
that that could happen was based on the reportings was if the world will not hate anyone more than Israel or Zionists, the world essentially Islamophobia has to come back. That's literally the
Yo,
only way.
yo,
That's
that
the
makes
only. That's the only way they said like that. The only way that people hate Hamas more than Zionism or Zionists or Israel. So like
right.
they're like, how do we recreate hatred for Muslims and get the heat off of us? Because that's the only thing the people will ever like
That's smart.
accept. Yeah,
That's smart, especially
yeah, they know.
in the West. Yeah, because it's like the reason there's that deep seated hatred is because the Muslims, by way of the Black Africans, took over Europe and conquered it for 700 to 800 years. And so this is why, like, if you go to TikTok, right, just put in your search medieval hygiene, right? Anybody, or just type it into YouTube, type in medieval hygiene. Go through all of the videos that talk about their hygiene. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
During those time periods. And then when you understand what happened with the Moors when they went up there, we created swimming pools, and while the reason we put chlorine in it because we had to clean them all up at one time. They believe washing, being dirty, brought them closer to Christ, brought them closer to God. That's what they thought. So they would only bathe twice a year. You understand what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying, like even now, there's a lot of them that say, "Oh, we
Is
don't
that where the
wash
black
like that."
plague came from?
Yeah, that's where they came from because
Okay, that makes sense.
they were drinking like they didn't even drink. The water was so contaminated with feces. They that's why they stayed drunk and drunk wine, and they
It's
used
kind of how
urine.
people perceive like modern day India in
No, no,
some
no.
regards.
Wow,
That's
that's
kind of
very
how
interesting. No,
that's like the
that's damn
depiction
near
I see.
identical. No, it's actually like
Like
identical.
if I'm to like correlate that to something happening today, like that's what I think of. At least that's
Yeah,
how it's being portrayed. You know, I could be
yeah.
wrong. I love Indians, but like that's kind of the narrative when you see them jumping in waters and
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
like
but you got to
thousands.
think though, man. These ancient cultures had different things, right? So that's why when we got the last revelation, it standardized hygiene. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
And promoted that cleanliness is next to godliness. You see what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And then so we had to export that. There was no Arab conquest of Africa. But no Arabs going to be able to beat no Africans, man. That's not how history happened. The African leaders embraced Islam, you know what I'm saying, because it was close to what they was already practicing. The whole thing
yeah.
about hadith transmission, you had the same thing among the Africans with the griots, where somebody was tasked with learning the entire tribe's history and transmitting it.
Mm,
Islam could come, Muslims came in trading. They set
mm,
up camp. They showed the people this is a better way to do things. And so they embraced it. Then they took
yeah.
all of that into Europe. And so when they talk about the Renaissance was them taking everything they had got from the Moors and trying to adjust. You see what I'm saying?
No, no, it's fascinating because my parents went to Spain recently, and
Hmm.
yeah, I told you about this. It blew
Hmm.
my mind. They came back and they told me all
Hmm.
about the experiences, the tours, the Moorish
Hmm.
history.
Hmm.
And then we talked about, I was like, oh yeah, like, yeah, black history. They were like, black? Oh, I was so shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean
Yeah.
black people? I was like, that's the history
Yeah.
that the tour, everything they
Yeah.
told you was black people. And that
Right.
was the Moorish history. Like that was,
Right.
and she was just, she didn't know. I
That's
was like,
wild.
wow, wow,
That's
there's an
wild.
actual agenda
Yeah.
to suppress that
Yeah,
information.
yeah. Because see, a lot of times, see, they play on the words. Like, even though if I was to have a more elevated legal political discussion, I wouldn't use the word black. But we're talking
Yeah,
colloquially
yeah,
and we're talking culturally. And
yeah.
black
And we're
in
talking to
America,
our audience in America.
right?
Exactly.
Black has two meanings among the social class of people. It's for those who are born from slaves in America because they were stripped of the identity. So the color became the universal recognition that we one and the same. And then it also stands for the entire race.
Mm.
Africa, there's an argument about the origin of that word. Leo Africanus, it could come from another place, but we know there was never one name for the whole continent. In fact, the oldest names for the continent would be either Ethiopia or Mauritania. You know what I'm
What about
saying?
Abyssinia? Was Abyssinia just the region of East Africa?
Yeah, it was just the region of East Africa. You know what I'm saying? But then we can see maps with a whole north and south. We can see Africa being referred to as upper and northern Ethiopia.
What were the two names you mentioned?
Or Mauritania, Ethiopia or Mauritania,
Yeah, I
right?
see Alkebulan,
Yeah, yeah, our cable
Alkebulan,
land. Some people say that
the
one is
mother of
another one too.
mankind.
Yeah. But the point I'm making though is that black as a designator for Africans or for the global diaspora is older in application than any word. So when you say black, you're literally
Mm,
talking about everybody who is from the motherland and beyond. You know what I'm saying? As a
gotcha.
descriptor. You know what I mean? Like for
Mm,
instance, in the Quran, where Allah says He made Adam, He made it from black mud. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That means the black people. You know, in different
yeah.
shades. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know that's why they frame these things a certain way so that they can
Mm.
disguise who the true inheritance of this stuff is. There's a book called Ancient and Modern Britons. If you pick up that book, you can pull it up online too. Like you know what, a good source just for the audience when you want to dig into old books, Google books.
Like the
They
Internet
have a
Archive?
your internet archive. No, you got internet archive, then you got Google Books, right? And you can search it on there. You can get a lot of the older books from there. But that book, Ancient and Modern Britons, talk about, and it was written by English noblemen, talks about
David
all
MacRitchie.
David MacRitchie,
Yeah,
talks about all of the black nobility that was in Europe. When you learn about the Anglo-Saxons,
this is
right?
1861. He wrote it. So this is
See?
predates all the
Exactly.
narratives and the
Exactly.
rewriting of history. 1884.
Exactly.
So yeah, yeah, which is yeah, that's actually a good point.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
actually interesting. The
So
British
that
people.
it's a volume one, it's a volume two. It goes in on all of the black nobility that went up into Europe, Germany. I just seen somebody who was in Estonia showing old Moorish relics from Estonia. So
Mm,
shoot, we was in Venice and ran into a store in Venice where it's a father and son shop where they make jewelry of black Muslims,
mm,
black people, black Africans with turbans,
mm,
selling it for hundreds of dollars, jewelry pieces. And I asked them, they said, yeah, they're the ones that found it Venice. That's what they told me. It gave me a little, what's your name? Black Muslims found it Venice. The word mafia comes from a Yemenese word, ma'afa, meaning family or
mm,
tribe or something like that. So the black African Muslims took over Italy for a long period of time, right? And then the Nordics came in and they couldn't defeat each other. So they decided, the Northmen, excuse me, they decided to join forces. When they joined forces, they became the Normans. Then they had the Norman invasion of England. And that's where you got basically the latest version of what the English came to be, kind of English common law coming from the Hadith system. But that's why when you watch First Night, they refer to Martin
no,
not only as a Moor,
Black Knight.
Black Knight. Yeah, my fault.
Yeah,
Black Knight. When they refer to him in that movie, they call him Moor and they call him
yeah.
Norman. They call him a Norman because the Normans were a group of black African Muslims and some Northmen. Right
Mm,
now, they even found the BBC news network, the TV and British broadcasting
yeah.
channel. They put out a documentary saying that the black people was in Europe all the way up until 3,000 years ago. 3,000 years ago, people in Europe had black skin and blue eyes. See what I'm saying?
And Blue Eyes.
And blue eyes. You know what I'm saying? So the whole point, man, is that the racial thing is such a big thing because it's the part of like people think Africans and black people started at the bottom. No, it was the
Yeah,
global
exactly.
war and they took over and they
Yeah.
capitalized off the infighting, because we don't, in our world, everybody was black. Everybody had
Mm,
melanin. Everybody had
mm,
color. So there was no allegiance based on skin complexion. Nigga, what's your tribe? What's your
yeah,
belief?
yeah,
Like that's how we did things because
yeah.
everybody was black or had some type of color to them.
Mm,
But it wasn't until the Europeans began to expand and colonize that they were able to use the skin complexion difference in their favor by being able to other everyone else and have a understanding between themselves that it's us against them. You know what I mean?
mm,
So when they're making deals, they're like, okay, you French, we at war, but you're still white. So I'm not going
mm,
to do you how I'm doing the Africans, right? But the
mm,
Africans is like, yeah, we just humans. We don't care. Sell them over here, take them from over here. So it was this concept of race is based on skin complexion was foreign to us.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? That's what they was
yeah,
able to capitalize on. But that's because we're dealing with that transition from colonial imperialism to industrialism and the takeover of in that period of black Africans globally, then you got that situation where they won the war. And just like
yeah.
anybody who wins the war, they supposed to do whatever they can to maintain the power. I know I would. Why would you
Yeah,
give it back? You fought so
yeah.
hard to take it.
And that's the narrative they give us, right? When we go to school, that's how they indoctrinate us. They started off with us being slaves
Yeah.
as opposed
Hmm.
to kings and queens.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Which your book, I mean, from slave to kings. Why'd you decide to title it that?
Yes, so I titled that because it was like, yeah, we started out as kings and queens, and they make fun of that. You know what I mean? They'll be like, we were kings and queens, we was kings. They make fun of that like it's a joke, but
Mm,
actually, 50 to 60% of black men in America descend from Pharaoh Ramses III. I'm one of them.
right.
You know, and we ain't even going to disclose what's in your bloodline, you know what I mean? But the point is that look how common it is though, right? So it's a real thing. So obviously, anytime wars are fought, the nobility of that class gets overthrown, put into poverty, and a new dynasty comes into play. That
It
happens all the
rewrites
time.
the history
It
of
rewrites
that
it.
narrative.
You know what I'm saying? But the point I'm making is they don't start us off with that because they don't want us to be in position mentally to not be inferior. You know what I'm saying? Because that's really where it's all of the brutality, all of those different things were just there to affect the psychology. Once we
Mind.
started accepting his reality, because you got to think about it, right? Here's a being, a guy who's only been here for like at least 3 to 4 thousand years, whereas we've been here millions of years. And the guy that been here 3,000 years to 4,000 years is telling the people who've been here for millions of years what to do and how to do it
Mm,
and what's the best way to be. That doesn't make sense. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Framing a narrative. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And I think this was just a really good, if we have to label this, this is a response to Nick Fuentes' interview he did with
For
Candace
Candace.
Owens and some of his complaints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, he did. I mean, he has content across the board. I mean, whether it's with the Hodge twins, I think he did one with Andrew Tate. I think there's a lot of individuals that are not well versed when it comes to Black history, African American history,
Yeah.
and he's exploiting that,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I think he's intentionally avoiding conversations with individuals that actually know
Exactly.
their history, because
Exactly.
then you do have valid points, but at the same time, there's a huge market that you're not, or a huge part of that history that you've described here that he's not
Yeah.
acknowledging, or maybe he's just ignorant of. I give him the benefit of the doubt because he seems like a genuinely cool dude, but he's definitely not. He's not informed.
No, he's not informed at all. He's not. And
But
again,
it
like
is our responsibility. I'm not. We don't need another white guy trying to teach everybody, the history of
exactly.
that. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't fault him for that. He has his
Right.
people, the incels, the
Right.
goyams, or the
Right.
groypers,
Rapist.
whatever. Yeah. Oh, the goyim. No, no, definitely not that. But that's crazy. But yeah. So yeah, and then we doing. I mean, this is us doing our part. So yeah, I think. Yeah, inshallah, that conversation will happen. It will
hmm
happen eventually. I mean, we're gonna make it to the top, inshallah. So
hmm
I don't really see us being ignored
Yeah, you
for
can't.
that
Nah,
long.
nah, nah. You
It's
can't.
too much truth, and it's needed, like especially within Black communities, it's needed.
hmm
So the things we're saying and talking about, people are going to latch onto this quickly because it is a dire need. So there's a reason why we have this type of timing, and I think it's divine in so many ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I think we'll definitely. This is such a huge part of the conversation that you can't
Yeah.
ignore it,
Right.
and I think it's just going to constantly be coming up, and I'm very intentional about that. Uh, Quick transition to Ibrahim Traore and your thoughts on him and what he's doing in Africa, because we are talking globally. I mean, we're not
Right. Right.
limiting
Right.
ourselves within America. We're expanding, and I think that's a huge story that's been covered. But just your
Yeah.
thoughts on him and what you think he's bringing to the table, and how that leadership really makes a difference when you see it. You see it. I mean, you see it, man.
Yeah.
It's inspiring in so
No,
many
for
different
sure.
ways.
For sure. The real test of Ibrahim Traore is going to come if he's successful. The real test, this ain't the real test. The real test is if he's successful, will he govern correctly? And because we've seen a lot of times in the past where African
Describe him.
leaders,
Many people may not know Burkina Faso, Ibrahim
yeah,
Traore.
Ibrahim
What's his
Traore is,
background story?
yeah, he's the
Nelson
commander,
Mandela today?
the captain. Yeah, they call him the captain. His position, he didn't take president, he took captain,
Yeah,
captain of Burkina Faso,
like
small
3 years
West
ago.
African country. Yeah, they kicked
Actually,
out
yeah,
the French.
2022 of September. Yeah, 3 years
Yeah.
from this month.
Yeah, they took they kicked the French out, kicked out the colonists, and they got an alliance called the Sahelian States with
Mm,
Chad, Niger, and Mali.
mm,
They teamed up, and they're trying to rebuild their particular regions of Africa and export an ideology of anti-colonialism and progress that they're trying to make between, all of the, Ibrahim Traore is inspiring because there's been a lot of assassination attempts on his life, and
yeah,
constantly continues. And a lot of people has, tried to sell him out. But the fact is he's been surviving because he's gotten a lot of support from the people themselves.
yeah,
He's been
exactly.
building a country up, taking the profits that was leaving via the minerals and natural resources that French was exploiting them from, taking that and reinvesting it back into his economy. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And now they got free housing. They building a whole bunch of stuff. They building roads, paving things. So he's like the example of what African leadership should be, and Black leadership everywhere really should
Yeah,
be. He's like the guy, and he's Muslim. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So you have some dynamics where he just banned homosexuality. So you have the blacks that are part, a lot of the blacks that are part of the LGBT community are complaining about that. They say don't support him no more because of that. Like I'm just like that's Africa. Like you can't expect
yeah, yeah.
that to fly in Africa. Like you know what I'm saying? But the point is that but that just goes to show how much of a how serious he is about keeping Western influence. And a lot of time I don't even like to say Western influence. It's really I would say I'm gonna start saying, you know what it is? Well, I'm gonna just start saying Westphalian. And that
What is it?
I'll explain it
What?
to you offline, but well, it's not. No, I'll explain it to you now. Really, man, when we say it's the West, West is Maghrib, right? In the West, the word more also comes from a word Maharoon among the Phoenicians, who are Moors too. But the point is like they often say it's a direction that's the problem and not
Mm.
identifying what it is. And you can't really say Christian, even though they did the Christian doctrine of discovery and this, that, and the third, but they killed off, or the Catholic Church killed off all the other Christian sects that agreed with them, disagreed with them. What you have is a period in time called 30 Years' War between European princes and kings, Christian kings, with the Catholic Church. And the battle was over if the Catholic Church was going to have direct rulership over
The Protestant.
well, yeah, or the people, you know what I mean, in
Yeah, yeah,
general,
yeah, yeah.
right? So what they end up doing was agreeing that that's when secularism was created. Secularism was
Mm,
created based on the Westphalian treaties, where they agreed that the people wasn't going to be ruled directly by the church, right? And so they
right.
used this concept in Christianity called grace, where it's supposed to be a grace period between the time Christ left and the time he comes back. And so that period is what they're creating the space for that eventually evolves into secularism, where there's a
Mm,
separation between church and state. You see
mm,
what I'm saying? Ultimately manifesting the U.S. doctrine, the Constitution that way. So the reason I say that is because it's that doctrine of that comes from Westphalia, those treaties that set the basis for Christian nations to say that they can do all these other different things because they was really on the same type of time the Muslims on. They just wasn't as clean. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And even when you look at the transmission of knowledge, it came from the Muslims to them in Europe. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, they all studied Arabic scholars, studied
mm,
Arab scholars. All of their study material was written in Arabic. You see what I'm saying? So it's really that doctrine that becomes the thing that we see as secularism today, including with all
mm.
those other isms. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, he was getting rid of all those influences.
And
Ibrahim
what do you think the
Traore.
objective is? What is it about what he's doing that is resonating within Africa? What do you believe? And I think, and you mentioned, and I kind of wanted to unpack this a little bit more because you said that the communication lines is what's opening up between African nations or the diaspora,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Is it because of technology? Is that what's allowing? Well, what do you think is
Of
that's what it is?
course,
It all comes
because
back to technology.
yeah, it
Okay,
comes back to technology because the like we had the internet, of course, people it was happening, but then with social media, and I
but
think
information was being controlled then. There was
right,
no,
right,
yeah.
right, and so like just this past couple years, like what I seen is it started during the pandemic, really, where
Mm.
the African diaspora, Black people globally started having a discussion.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was
funny.
about it was and it was on
Yeah,
Clubhouse. It started
yeah,
on
yeah.
Clubhouse. You know what I'm saying? So everybody was talking about that, and then now it's on TikTok. You see what I'm saying?
They're like the only country that was like, we know about vaccines, bro. We good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep,
We good off these vaccines,
yep,
bro.
yep.
Shout out to
Fact.
Bill Gates. No, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
You've done enough.
Facts.
You've done enough for us.
Percent. And they
So like
wasn't
they
even
seen us
giving
get
them the
it.
vaccine like that. Like they was when
Yeah.
it came time to get it, they was like, nah, we got all these other
Nah.
places to supply first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I see it started from there, the technology of,
Mm,
especially in this instance, TikTok or social media and the certain
really?
type. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because so American pop culture, like I said, has exported itself to the world, right? So in that, it has given Black people in America a certain perspective, a certain perception in the rest of the world, positive and negative. So the positives will be your Obama, your Will Smiths, your Michael Jordans, right? Your Kobe Bryants. The negative will be all of
John
the
Jones. You gotta throw John Jones in
yeah,
there.
God, yeah, yeah, definitely legend, John Jones. But the degenerate aspect of it would be the thug hip hop image culture, which still ends
Mm,
up being popular because it connects with the
struggle.
disenfranchised of those country of the people of those countries, right? But what it did was it also gave the world a false impression that you know this is what Black people are ultimately about, right? So and then they So they sold the thug lazy image. They don't want to work. They sold that to the African, right? The
Mm,
image they sold to the Black Americans here, the descendants of slaves, is, oh, they starving over there. They live in huts. They're
you should be
uncivilized.
grateful.
You should exactly right. So for so long we've had the middleman because you'll see people come on social media and be like, my parents
Mm,
told me to stay away from them because of this, that, and the third. And to come to
yeah,
find out when I did my research, it was this, it was that. So what's happened is people
no
had a
facts, man,
perception.
facts. Yeah, even East African coming from us, like our parents were
Yeah,
brutally
no, no,
racist coming in. You know what I mean? They were programmed to the T. Yeah, I'm just being
yeah,
honest. You know what I mean?
no, no, that's just
Now they're
yeah,
like, oh, actually,
yeah.
but then it was like, nah, you got white friends? Perfect. And white friends doing the craziest stuff. They don't even know.
That's a
Take
fact.
us to the
That's
suburbs. I'm like, okay, like you're cool with it? All right. Like as long as they white. You know what I mean? Like it's just
that's
crazy,
funny.
crazy mindset. Yeah, but like that is yeah, it's fact. I mean, especially from the moment they came to America, they put them in Long Beach, they put them in the hood. They see, they see all the. It was just like a cookie cutter system of like you don't want to connect with these people.
Right,
And it was like
right.
intentional, like
Yeah,
isolating both from each other, both races. Like you know what I mean? You
right.
see it in movies all the time, but like
100%.
it was just because if you get this, if you get an
Yeah,
African dude and a black dude, this is
yeah.
what the potential is. This is what
That's
they
the
don't want,
point. That's my
right? So
point.
it's like,
That's my
so I
point.
understand. I'm like, oh yeah, this is I can see because this is powerful. These
Yeah,
conversations are powerful, so I can understand, especially if you're coming from Africa
yeah.
and then you have a conversation with someone like you said, it cuts out the middleman.
Exactly.
It's like, oh no, it's actually
Exactly.
not like that out there. It's actually this, that, and then you get curious as a black. It's like, wait,
Right.
this is not what I've been
Right.
told. So
And
yeah,
that's
you're
what's
right. The
happening.
middleman, and that's what AI has gotten rid of, even across the board of technology of businesses. The
Right.
middleman is out. It completely creates a system where you just focus directly to the supplier or whatever. So yeah, I can see that on a cultural level, on the ground, doing the same thing. You're right.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
TikTok was that medium. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, for sure. And I think that this occurrence of the middleman being removed and us actually talking, even when it comes to so you have some people who like there's like a real beef. Like there's like a real back and forth, like insults, like people insulting each other's cultures and all type of
I
stuff.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm saying all that stuff's good
Yeah.
because what's happening from it is, like I said earlier, all blacks got that same thing generally. Like everybody will pop crap about the other group, but as soon as that other group pop back at them, it's oh you insulting this, they can't
Yeah.
take it. You know what I'm saying? But the thing I like about what's happening is it's a needed discussion. It's the first time it's ever been possible for us after what we've experienced with colonialism and imperialism to be able to have a global conversation in real time, talking about
Yeah.
what happened, the differences in our cultures, what y'all should change, what we should change, how this should happen, why y'all not giving land over here, why we gotta ask for citizenship here, and why when we come here, y'all do
Mm,
this is straightening out a lot of stuff. People
mm,
don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I see it because
yeah.
you cannot do this cannot happen unless all this gets straightened out. And it's getting straightened out because
Yeah.
we're talking to each other.
Mm,
Because the minute we're arguing with each other, but then at the same time, when something negative happens to somebody else's country, black people around the world reporting on it. Like,
mm,
you know what I mean? Something happened in South Africa, and everywhere know what happened in South Africa. Something happened in
mm,
so I'm seeing it happen, but it's happening on
mm,
TikTok, which leads me to say there needs to be a platform developed that captures. We'll get
mm,
into that another time, but as a pain point, what I see developing out of this, there needs to be a platform other than TikTok that captures that energy. I'm like, okay,
mm.
this is just black
Interesting.
folks and Africans talking to each other. People from
Yeah.
around the world getting in on the conversations, Asians getting in on the conversations, white folks getting in on the conversation. We are what's happening.
Yeah,
We make
exactly.
the
They're
news.
watching us. Yeah, they're watching us.
Everybody's watching us.
Yeah, it's like Sunday Night Football. It's like they can't help it. Even something as insignificant as a sport,
Yeah,
everyone watching because
exactly.
it's playing. And
Exactly.
if it's playing, there's something spectacular that's gonna happen. It may not be
Exactly.
Lamar Jackson, but it's some will go down where yeah, it's just that energy that captivates the world for whatever
Hmm.
reason.
Right.
And if the energy is moved towards a productive, and I'm not giving shots. I love Lamar Jackson. He
Yeah, yeah,
fumbled,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
But like, yeah, I think that's powerful, man. Those are powerful. These are powerful conversations. I mean, these are as 19 Keys like to put it, high level
Yeah,
conversation.
that's a
Yeah, and
interesting way to put
shout
it.
out to him and
Yeah,
everyone kind of putting in that work.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think you're right. I think there is, and I think that's what's happening. And that is a conversation we'll probably have offline because this is
yeah, yeah,
that's an interesting idea.
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it is TikTok and it's not a black-owned platform, and
Right,
so if
right.
you get that energy, eventually it's going to be moved into
Ex-
agendas that we are not aligned with, right?
right.
So right
It's
now
a
it's gaining trust, it's gaining all the credibility, but you
right.
can't just like allow the data to stay there. The
Exactly.
powerful data. That's our
Powerful
melanin. There's
data.
nothing more powerful than
Powerful
black data.
data.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Yeah.
Exactly. On top of that, the society that exists on TikTok and social media, what I notice across the board is they're intelligent enough to say like like there are arguments that out of nowhere will pop up that just will give black men and women. And what I noticed is even in the diaspora, it's the same type of dynamic, right? So they'll
Mhm.
start fighting each other over these posts that somebody made that just start going viral. And so other content creators, they'll sit there and say, oh, the CIA did its job. The CIA did its job. The CIA did its job. So anytime some argument or some kind of topic comes up that makes us argue, people are identifying, oh, that's the CIA. The CIA is doing that. Even if it's not.
Mm,
Even if it's not, the reality is now the running meme is that anything that's causing a disruption is
mm.
CIA oriented.
Anything divisive within the black
Right,
community
right.
is considered a
So
CIA. Mm,
any type of
damn.
conversation about like, you're like one popped up that said black men don't go to colleges enough. And then one popped up that said black women and they weaves, and it was just like stuff that it's like, yo, we got other stuff going on. Why are we gonna argue about this, right?
Like they're almost pushing the algorithm. Like when we see like the Brittany Renner in any
Yeah,
conversation between a man and a woman, especially when it comes to dynamics, and then it's like that's what goes viral. That's what they're pushing.
exactly.
And then
Exactly.
they got their little CIA operatives within the black community that
Right,
also,
right.
are fueling these
Exactly.
conversations as well. I
Exactly.
mean, it goes both ways. It's not just a one-sided street. But like you're
100%.
saying, like it organically already happens, but those are the stories that get pushed to the front line.
Right.
Like
And it's
that's like
starting to be acknowledged as
people are aware like this is
this propaganda, this bait. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
This isn't real. This is the op right here. So I'm just saying this to me as somebody who's been like
okay, so
actively in
black
that
people waking
space.
up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Globally. Globally.
Mm,
Globally.
mm,
That's the kicker here. Globally.
mm. It's a global
Globally.
collection. Consciousness, black consciousness globally
Right.
is waking up to
It's waking up.
the psyops and the programming
Right.
and the wars that we're not aware of
Right,
happening.
percent. And every group is finding their
Mm.
balance. Like, just to give you a quick rundown, like whether it's considered FBA or Black American, whatever the case, they're like the leader of the diaspora. Just because they're native to America, they dealt with the beast in a different way. The most unproblematic group that nobody has beef with is Habeshas. And nobody got beef with the Habeshas. Habeshas are straight with everybody. Somalis are hella problematic. South Africans and Nigerians, and then you got the Afro Latinos. They just happy to be acknowledged. You know what I
It makes
mean?
sense though, right? I mean, because
Yeah,
Somalians actually build community.
yeah,
They actually consolidate with it. They all are one and they're building. Like you look at they took over Minnesota.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And
Yeah.
then they elected Ilhan
Mm-hmm.
Omar,
Mm-hmm.
so they got into the political sphere and they supported her.
Mm-hmm.
Habeshas, we like to be everybody's friend, and we
Yeah,
go
but that's
nowhere.
but based on what's emerging, that's the natural role for the diplomats. The ones
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the
no,
one
no,
the You
100%.
see
We
what I'm
have
saying?
that ability to get along with everybody.
Right,
Even growing
right,
up,
right,
like
right,
everybody, I get
right,
along. Filipinos, Mexicans, black, like that is a superpower. That is a
yeah.
strength we have, but we just don't do anything with it
True. Got you. Got you.
organizationally
Yeah.
to build up. You
Got
know what
you.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
we haven't. We just there's other issues. There's similar issues
Yeah.
like to the black community when it comes to like the
Right.
power structure,
Right. Right.
politics, like the
Right.
lack of vision, clarity when
Right.
it comes to what we're
Yeah.
doing. So like
Yeah.
we don't have that. We
Right.
don't have it.
100%.
At least
Yeah.
not here. You can see it. I mean, you go back to East Africa, you see that in Eritrea or whatever. Like, it's just this very selfish, self-centered, like scarcity mindset.
And I don't think that's necessarily, again, indigenous to just Habesha people, because there's a lot of that in the Black American community, the Caribbean community.
Hmm.
So you'll see segments of Black folks everywhere with that same type of issue. But nobody likes and I'm all good with Black Brits, but as far as the way the landscape is, the Black Brits got beef with everybody. African
Yeah,
Americans got beef with everybody.
yeah,
The Haitians and Jamaicans, they got beef with Black Americans only, and then when they not beefing with Black Americans, they beefing with the West Africans. You see what I'm saying? So,
mm,
but to me, I love it, because to me,
yeah.
I'm looking back and it's like, damn, this is the global family
At least the family's together. Yeah, they're all fighting at the reunion, but at least it's
together, and
here.
we're figuring it
Yeah.
out. We're figuring it out because we didn't know that when Africans were coming here, they was telling them, yo, they lazy. They don't want to work the jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Y'all better than them. All they do is cry. We didn't know that until the people started saying,
mm,
yo, that's what they told us when we came in. Some people
yeah,
said they was
no.
in our country telling us this when they was recruiting us to come to the
Or
country.
yeah, yeah, when it's like they know before they get here. Like there's a program, like there's a whole
You know what
understanding
I'm
of like
saying?
we're here to teach you and help you. These are the bad guys. These are the good
Right.
guys.
They told us y'all was starved. Yo, they used to run
And
these
then they throw them in
commercials.
the hood. They throw them in like
Right.
the
Then they
worst
throw them in the
parts. It's like, oh,
exactly.
everything is validated. Like, yeah, these niggas is
Right.
crazy.
Right.
It's
Not
like
letting you know all the years of redlining that they did, the drugs
nothing.
they pumped into the
Yeah,
community, all that type of
nothing,
stuff.
bro.
You know what I'm saying?
They're just like this.
Right.
And then all the movies on like the non-cable channels is like
Yeah.
all of it, bro. It's a real program. Like
Real program.
it's legit. Like people don't understand programming is real. It's
Yeah.
as
Framing
much as you
narrative.
want to know your emotional connection or programming to people and the associations you have with them, it really does affect you regardless of
Hmm.
what you think you know. So I think that's so you're saying these conversations at the end of the day are going to lead to something more productive in the long term, especially
Yeah.
as a crisis hits and
Right.
now like all of a sudden Africa becomes an option, whereas
Right.
in the past
Right.
it wasn't.
Well,
You know
it's
what
an
I mean?
option now. And
No, I
it's
know, but I'm saying in the past it wasn't. Like in the
right.
past there was no conversations being had
No, 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 no,
about
no,
that.
no. No, it's
And mainstream wise. Mm, mm,
to Liberia to start a government. So it's been attempts in
mm,
those instances, but then also during that Black Panther era, for instance, W.B. Du Bois, a real prominent, he the one that's like Black Boule believed in the talented Tim. He used to make fun of Marcus Garvey. Said Marcus Garvey
mm,
looked like a gorilla, right? Because it had a lot of colorist thing going on here. But at the end of his life, he moved to Ghana because he was like, yo, he was right. He moved to
mm,
Ghana. You know what I'm saying? W.B. Du Bois. So, and then you have a lot of people who've done it over the years and tried. But I think now, because there's like real development in Africa, there's an opportunity to develop it. But you got to kind of navigate some of the complexities of, like, for instance, the African Union put this thing out where they want to tap the 1 point some trillion dollar resources of African Americans or Black Americans here. So some are saying, oh, they trying to steal our reparations, right?
yeah,
And it's like, you can look at it that, or you can look at it like, yo, you have an opportunity to participate in building up this place and investing in this place. I mean, yeah, of course, you got to make sure the laws and all that stuff is favorable, but your biggest opportunity for growth is going to be in Africa. Everybody's biggest opportunity for growth is going to be with Africa, whether that's through trade or whatever the case may be. And the place doesn't run out of resources. Like, I mean,
yeah.
they've been robbing for the last
Centuries.
200 for centuries, and they haven't even cracked the surface yet. They still finding tons of gold. Like, they find tons of gold in Uganda, and they got massive water reserves under the Sahara Desert and all over Africa. Like, I'm talking about massive water reserves. It's about to be water wars. Water is already being on the commodity market, on the futures market.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? The level of richness
Yeah,
makes it a player, and China making it a developing it is making it a political player now. See what I'm
Yeah,
saying? As well as
China's had
Russia.
their hand in it for a while. I mean, China's been very strategic about their relationships within the African communities. When do you perceive, or what would it require? Because I feel like the country in Africa that openly welcomes African Americans will have such a huge advantage if there's some type of incentive. When
Right.
do you foresee that happening? Like there being like a like you know what I mean? Like taking that, because there's a huge pain point here in America,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With Africans, Black people.
Right.
So as an entrepreneur, if I'm looking to exploit that and take advantage of that and say, hey, look, man, y'all not being treated well, come up with a
Mm.
campaign, like we'll
Right.
take care of you the first year or two. You know what I mean? Like the first country that does that, do you perceive that happening? Do you foresee
Well,
that being
see,
an opportunity?
this
Like
is
coming
one of
back
the
to like a whole, you know what I mean? Like we
yeah.
don't even got to take the boats. We'll give you
Yeah,
jets.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
We'll give you
yeah.
airplanes,
Yeah.
bro. You know what I mean? You'll
Yeah.
be comfortable
Facts.
this time coming back home. And just
Facts.
like that welcoming energy, I could just really see that that's powerful, man. I feel like
Yeah.
whoever does, because Africans have a lot of value to give.
Right.
I mean, we've
Right.
learned a lot here. So like taking that and then bringing it back home,
Yeah.
do you see that being something that could potentially happen?
Yeah, I think so. It's just that's when I say there's some straightening happening between us and the diaspora, that's what's happening. That dialogue right there.
Right
Because
there. Okay.
when Black American entrepreneurs go to Africa, what they're finding out is a lot of reasons why Africans left Africa to come to America. You see what I'm saying? Like the tribalism is a big thing that's hard to overcome, right?
Okay,
Secondly,
I
they
see.
don't necessarily, the locals may not necessarily perceive the Black Americans coming in as family, brothers, sisters. They don't look at
Equal.
racially like that. They're not looking from a racial, look from a tribal perspective. So when they come in, they raise prices on them, they do kind of like shady different stuff or whatever. So, and
Yeah.
then the locals are like, yo, y'all raising the prices up over here because everybody know like, oh, they coming over here with American dollars. So there's
There
these
needs to
things
be a
that's working
leadership.
out.
Leadership needs to
Right,
be in
right,
Islam, really. I think Islam and good
right,
leadership would be the thing that
right,
smooths all that out.
right.
And so
If
a
the
country that
Muslim,
can
if the
go ahead.
Muslims and the African and Black Muslims could link and do it, the rest of everybody else would follow because uh
Without a doubt. You just need one
Islam.
pilot. Yeah, you'll see that should flourish.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So like the connection between all of the Muslims is the connection between the Muslims in Africa, North, Central, East, and West, and the Black Muslims in America, which 25% of all Muslims in America are African American. If that group could link up and really do some things, then it would make
Mm,
all the other groups fall in line because we already have the framework for it by being Muslims. You see what I'm saying?
exactly.
But it's the differences in looking at, because see, Black American people look at things from a racial perspective. Continental Africans are looking at it from a tribal perspective. You know what I'm saying? Because
Correct.
the Black Americans are coming from a place where they're the minority, a racial minority. So they're
Yeah,
like, we got to huddle up
yeah.
based on this. Whereas continental Africans, like, we live around Black folks all day. Like, ain't nothing special. You know what I'm saying? So
Bloodline takes precedence.
right. So the bridging the gap of understanding in that space will create the safe spaces necessary for economic opportunity to
Flourish.
flourish. And I definitely think there's something continental Africans need to be able to learn from African American, Black Americans, because they, a lot of time, because they don't see the hidden hand that's controlling their corrupt leaders and puppets, they don't realize how much the Europeans or the whites are looking at things from a racialized perspective when they're coming in to do business. And so there's things about each other that we could put each other onto, to learn from
Yeah,
on how to deal
yeah.
with it.
There's a lot
You know
we've
what I mean?
like. There's a lot we've learned when it comes to creating systems and businesses and organizing and scaling. Right, like those are skill sets that
Right,
we have that
right,
we can bring to Africa because they
right.
have. We talked about that. Those are skills and qualities that help build the infrastructure of a country.
100%.
And then that
100%.
culture and bringing all that and then just like within that. Yeah. I mean, it was funny because like my son put me onto a song like 4 years old, bro. But it was Akon and like a Habesha, Dishta Gina. It was like a Dishta. It was like a remix between Akon and like one of the prominent like Ethiopian artists. And Akon's literally talking about it in the lyrics.
Mm,
He's like, yo, like the problem isn't between you and I, it's between the oppressor. Like there's the
mm,
middleman. And so
wow.
and so I was like, oh wow. And I was listening
Wow. Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
man,
That's
that's
deep.
okay. Like, yeah, that's powerful. I was like,
Yeah, that
these
is.
conversations are happening and people are waking up to it. And now
Yeah.
they're making music around it. I'm like, all right. Because I've always liked
Yes.
Akon. Akon's always been on that tip. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I thought
Sure.
that was fascinating because he was like, yeah, West Africa, East Africa, we could all come together and
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
travel.
it has to happen. It's like how that happens, how that looks,
Yeah, you
you know,
don't know.
that's up for debate. And that's what there needs to be a collaborative effort towards that vision, but it needs to happen
But like you
because
said, like when it comes to white people and the elites, they always agree on the vision, right? They
yeah,
never like when that's what they
exactly.
have in common.
Exactly. That's what they
They're like,
have
this
in
has
common.
to happen. Super
Right.
intelligence, AI has to
Right.
happen.
How that's
Global
done,
order, they don't. Yeah, they're like,
yeah. How that gets
yeah,
done is up in the air. You're gonna have different
yeah,
parties doing different things to get there, but they have that shared vision. That's the
yeah,
point. That
yeah,
is the
and if,
point.
yeah, and if Africans could do that, damn.
Yeah. Bruh.
Woo!
I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And
yo,
I've seen
it's
sparks of it. I'm telling you, I've seen sparks. I meet
me
people.
too.
Like I said, the dude is just creating like an NFL in Africa,
Mm,
and I'm like,
mm,
man, man,
yeah.
you take the top talents and you organize that.
Yeah.
That's every industry. You know what I mean? Like
All you gotta do is take
there's 30
the
John Jones out there. Nigga. There's 30 Francis Ngannou's out there. There's
right.
100 like you know what I mean? Like they're like a league like that
And
is
you take the people
explosive.
from here, you take the people from here,
Yeah,
like the professional athletes who
the ones that
retired,
already,
the
bro. That's
retired
exactly what
ones,
I told him. But
take
you know
them
what he
there to
said?
train everybody.
He
You
said the
said,
NFL got a lock on him. He's like, yeah, a
yeah, that's
lot of
true.
them.
That's
He's
true.
like, a
That's
lot of
true.
them, like we try to reach out, but like the NFL got a lock on them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
they're not allowing it. Like they understand
yeah,
because they know,
yeah,
they
yeah,
know,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
They probably can't
They
sleep.
know.
And I
Yeah,
just thinking about like this dude trying to start a league and like and that's what it is. Like it's not, and that's what a lot of people are like capitalism and this and that because that's when the guardrails come up and you start seeing the people like sabotage other
right,
opportunities trying to build.
right,
You know what I mean? That's where you're
right.
like, oh, nah, it's not all fair. Like it ain't about
Right.
just capitalism.
Exactly. It's not. It's
There
not.
is, don't
There's other
lie to
thing
me,
behind
bro.
it.
There's,
Exactly.
yeah, because when you know there's real competition, you're not allowing it, you know? So,
And that's the
but that
complaint
is,
though. That's been the complaint though. See, and that's been the complaint of black folks. The complaint is, why don't you love us? Why don't you treat us kind? It's not about that. It's about like, yo, if it's really about capitalism and it's really about, getting out here and putting that work in,
best idea.
why do
Yeah,
you interfere and sabotage our
always.
stuff so much?
Oh,
But that's the problem. And you're doing it based upon race. It's not a
mm-hmm,
fair market economy. That's what the
mm-hmm.
complaint is about. Because if we get
Yep,
out here and we got to go at it and we got the equal opportunity, we going to show out. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that's
yep.
been the complaint about it. But the
And it's a
reality,
legitimate complaint. You know what I mean? Like you
hmm
can't even own your own records. You can't own your own, you know what I mean? Like all of that from every
right,
industry is an
right.
understanding of like, we cannot allow them to own
So
their,
anything. Yeah,
can't allow it.
exactly.
You could be a coach. You could be even in the owner's box. And if like
hmm
all around, it's like we know we can't allow it.
hmm
We can have one or two tokens, but like we'll
Exactly.
know those tokens are compromised, and there's
Exactly.
nothing you can do about it, right? Like the Obamas of the
Right,
world. So like
right,
that's you got
right.
to acknowledge that. You have to be honest about that. You can't just try
Exactly.
to suppress
Sweep
that
that
type
under
of
the rug.
knowledge. Yeah, you
You can't
can't,
be
bro.
out here
That's
being a truth
disingenuous,
teller
bro.
and sweep that
Correct.
under the rug.
Yeah, you can't be a capitalist or entrepreneur and not acknowledge that, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And pretend like it's just because black people are not trying.
Right.
Pretend like black people are not already trying to probably create
Yeah.
LLMs or their
Yeah.
own type of
Yeah.
technology. Nah, man, that's what these Palantirs are for. They're here to identify
Who's
that, you
doing
know what I mean?
what and take them off
Yeah,
the boards.
you're done. You're
It's
gone.
really the monitor who I ain't, we'll talk about that on
Yeah,
another show
yeah,
because
that's another
that's like tomorrow,
conversation.
tomorrow. But yeah, yeah, like nah, I mean, yeah, man, it's that dynamic is what is missing from the discourse and it's disingenuous. But above and beyond that, the future holds, especially for technology, development purposes, the future looks bright to Africa as a continent. Now, how the people get organized, because what I can see happening is there's going to be an influx of a lot of Europeans coming into Africa at a whole nother level. They're
It's
saying
like the
all lifestyle,
migration
yeah, big
inverse.
migration. It's going to be inverse because
That
that's where the
shit
growth
pretty
opportunity is
good.
going to be. I've seen it already. There was a white guy
Mm,
who said,
interesting.
I think he was German, and he was talking to somebody from Kenya, like he was telling them like, yeah, I'm talking to them, and they're telling me they want to come work for me in Germany. And he's like, why
Yeah,
would you want to come to Europe? It sucks here. I'm moving to where you're at. There's more
Mm,
opportunity there. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is that the opportunities that is emerging there is also emerging for foreign investors as well. You see what I'm saying? So
mm,
it's big enough and everybody's gonna have a slice
yeah,
and
it's about
like
controlling the pie.
it's about
As
controlling the
long as you
pie.
can't give up the control. You know, I mean, you can
Right,
invite them. That's the hope. Yeah, it's how you succeed. But
right,
don't give up the pie, man. Don't.
right.
Wakanda is a real place. Like
Yeah,
that's a real
yeah,
potential. Like
yeah,
within the like, there's a
yeah,
reason why that's the place they chose. Like there's a lot of truth telling within these comic books. Like
yeah.
there's a lot of truth telling. You know what I mean? Like it resonates. Like it feels natural. It feels like yeah, if there was a place that had all, it would be there.
Right.
The resources, the technology, like it'd be. It's just the people, the leadership. I mean, that really is what it is, and that's why you see a lot of the proxy wars and a very
Bro,
intentional.
I've seen metal, right? I've seen video and I've seen this video rapidly suppressed and called fake. But there's a video of some brothers in the Congo who had a rock and they put like an electric connected to the rock and the joint just lit up. Like the type of minerals and stuff there, like it's just, bro, it's unbelievable, right? So the type of technology that could be developed, the resource, all you got to do is be able to refine your own minerals and then
Mm,
you're on to wealth because the natural resources is what makes everything else. You just got to import the people who know. We got enough people that know. And this is why you have to have like an online community of the
yeah,
diaspora so
cloud
that
first.
exactly so that data
Yeah.
can go back and forth faster. You see what I'm
Mm,
saying? So that people can learn faster on the continent. One thing Africa just did too, they cut
mm.
Google off. So now the continent of Africa is starting to make their own internet service. You know what I'm
No
saying?
way.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm saying, man.
Hey, Google take it mad out.
Yo, they take yeah, yeah. They just
Oh
started
my
doing their
God.
own internet. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. Okay. Because now they know what's possible. The internet
Right.
has exposed them to like, and that's all you
Exactly.
need is imagination. You give a black man imagination
That's
and he'll
it.
run with it. Like it's over.
That's
It's
it.
over. That's the one
That's
thing I
it.
tell my kids. I preserve within them. Like, bro, keep that imagination lit.
That's a
You
superpower.
have that, yeah. Your spirit's gonna take you far places.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, I was not expecting the conversation to go this way, but I'm so grateful it did.
Yo, for real. For real.
Yeah, it just shows that we just vessels, bro.
Yo, for real.
We not even in control.
For real.
If y'all saw what was on my agenda, we was about to
Yo,
talk
that's
about Tucker Carlson and shit, the white agenda, white America. That got me
yo.
distracted. But this is like, this is the
Yo.
real conversation.
It actually is. And that's the
That's crazy.
supplemental one. That conversation is
Yeah,
happening so that what we're talking about doesn't manifest. You see what I'm saying? That's what talented all that stuff is about.
that's the subconscious collective fear that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, yo, these. Wow.
That's crazy. I did not expect it to go this way either.
I
But
told
it
you.
was dope though.
No, that was good. This is
That
good.
really was.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
wild. I don't know wild.
yeah. I was a lot like, all right, yeah. So
Alhamdulillah.
that's pretty much it. I don't know anything else.
No, no, man.
Conclude with.
Then we gonna put it on ice till tomorrow. That was enough. You know what I'm saying? You know, we probably touch on some of the things that we intended on to today, tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it's always
and
tomorrow.
I'm sure we're gonna that sparks a lot of ideas within me. Even like with
Mhm,
us creating the collective and the online communities, this seems like a good niche to focus on. That's gonna
mhm.
resonate. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
seems like a
I
sweet
got a
spot that.
framework ready for you too. I'm gonna send you a
Okay,
framework for it so
okay,
that you can see some ways we can engage that. And there's another entrepreneur that I've seen on TikTok that's seeking to do the same thing. Uh,
mm.
but but I can tell he's just like limited in his perspective. But this
But
is
it's
a
there. He acknowledging like the market is there. And in the
yeah.
video you sent me, right? The white dude crying like, "Yo, we need you,
Yo, you
black
seen
people.
that?
We need
You
you."
seen that?
Yeah, he's like,
Bruh.
"We need you. We're sorry." Like they can see it. It's all going. Like it's
Right, right.
there.
Yeah, bruh. You know what I'm saying?
Fascinating, man. Yeah. So like for everybody out there, like this is clarity for us, man. These conversations are
Yeah.
what creates that on so many different levels, and so creating that value and being intentional is what opens up doors, and that's why we do it. I mean, it's yeah, it's a fascinating conversation, man. I
No,
appreciate
no,
you sharing the
no.
knowledge, man. I know
No,
you
no,
got
no,
so much
man.
more.
No,
Like
it's
this
all
is
good, man. I
good.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
I love nothing more but to share any information I got, man. But it's like you did a excellent job of guiding the conversation down that path because you let it go where it was going. That's a lot. There's a lot of info in this one. We gave a
yeah,
lot of markers for people to be able to fact check. and look into, what we were talking about. And but I definitely think, as a just my final statements as a closing matter, on the basis of tomorrow and this being a tomorrow podcast.
That's a good way to end our podcast too.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
it. Go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So nah, it shows that, what we've concluded is Africa is very much a part of tomorrow, and
Mm,
it
mm,
is the future. And if you're wise, you would connect with continental Africans, Africans throughout the diaspora, come up with, and this is just for our audience who's the entrepreneur business minded side. You have to have some type of product or service that you bring to the African continent. Nikai said, if you build whatever you build in the US, if you build it in Africa, it'll be double what it will be in America in 5 years. And I've seen so many other content creators in real estate who were European or white Americans who are just salivating about the opportunities that they see in Africa in real estate and in other places. They even talk about the housing quality, that when you get a house built in Africa, it's going to be of better quality than if you build it in America. So they're
mm,
actually encouraging a lot of Europeans and a lot of white Americans to actually find their home in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to think about that.
mm,
Like, they want to leave the all white countries and come among places where it's number black folks at. So that's letting you
uh,
know the economic future. I'm gonna see some more content too that corroborates the massive amounts of investments that's being poured into Africa
no, I
all over the
believe it
continent.
because China's been doing this for decades. China's already incorporated themselves within the African culture, right? They've already have their own people within a lot of these countries. So it's like
Hmm.
I see it, and we're following suit. We're coming to realize that as
Hmm.
China's been ahead of the curve on a lot of things, and so Africa is one, and they built pretty good relationships there. So I don't doubt that at all. Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure.
For sure.
And
No, for
I think even on a local level, I'm really beginning to realize that having a black community is
very key.
vital.
Very
And I
vital,
think
man.
that's kind of the riff I've been having with like local Islamic communities because they're
Hmm.
led by like, Pakistanis, Indians, and they're just doing what they do. That's their
Right,
culture,
right.
right? You want one wife? All right, cool. Like that's good. Yeah, I mean like that's their culture. Like that's how they've integrated Islam into their culture. And that's good for them. And so for me, I'm thinking now like I don't want to change that. I just want to create something for ourselves
Right, right,
that's rooted in who
right,
we are because
right.
every culture is different, every tribe, every people
Exactly.
is different. And so they have
Exactly.
positive things that we can learn from
Right,
and vice versa. But
right,
I'm not interested in convincing them that's the life and that's
right,
what they want to choose for their community. All right,
right,
they know better. But
right, right.
yeah, I think that's another conversation we'll have offline. And that's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
I've
yeah,
already
yeah.
been like inclined towards, but now it's really settling in.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, 100%, man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very important because there's the fact that we have to develop something that reciprocates the energy that we put out and that is conducive for our development, you know what I mean, within that space.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, it doesn't matter at whatever level, you have to create community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Community is a vital part of developing tomorrow and taking advantage of, and we established this yesterday when we were talking about the technology, about creating community around your product or service, but there's also creating community around your mental health,
Mm,
your value system, you know what I'm saying?
mm.
Your visions, your outlooks, your goals, you know what I'm saying? Those are key, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Very key.
And that's the only way you can have your challenges and pain points prioritized. Because if it's in in any other community, it's gonna come secondary, and that's not
Exactly.
personal. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, and that comes back to us taking responsibility and accountability of like, look, we have to lead the charge for us to be able to innovate and
Hmm.
prioritize what's important to us, because it's just not
Right.
important to them in the same
Right.
way, and
Right.
that's their right. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not on them to save us either. Like it has to come
Right.
from within. So
1000%.
yeah, yeah, I think a lot of this is gonna marinate a little bit, but yeah, I think these are conversations that we'll take offline. That's the purpose, right?
Yeah,
Start from
yeah,
the
yeah.
clouds, and then we
Exactly.
go to the land, and then we
Exactly.
start manifesting. So we're really doing this in
Exactly.
real time. Yeah, we're really about this life, bro.
No, no,
Like
that's a
we
fact. It's
serious.
real time. It's real
Yeah,
time. And I think that is what we want to translate to the community that we're building, so that it's understood that information, that all these things that we're sharing perspectives, it leads to some type of singular vision that incentivizes and collectivizes our input so that we can get the output that we want. You know what I'm saying? Essentially, for
Uh,
sure. I mean, yeah, this was a banger, man. This was
back to
official.
back,
Hey, you gotta keep it rolling. You gotta keep it
man.
going. Consistency.
Yeah, 100%, man. Alhamdulillah, man. This is good. All right. Yeah, that's good. I think I'm good. I think it's hopefully, yeah, again, like usual, whatever comments y'all have, feedback, if
Yeah.
y'all enjoyed this type of conversation, these dialogues, if it's resonating, anything, just provide that feedback. Normally I don't care for comments, but now I'm realizing the value in that, and just hearing from people that aren't toxic and really are interested in this dialogue.
Hmm.
And anything we're missing, I'm doing my best to fact check and stay on it, on top of it, because I
Yeah.
know that the internet's brutal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
I'm
Oh
doing my
yeah.
best, like
That's
to
a
stay.
fact.
But yeah, just keep us in. I mean, that's good. Keep us accountable. Keep us on our toes.
Yeah.
I like that. I like keeps us sharp and
Hmm.
stay in our lane. So yeah, man. This is
100%.
hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Inshallah, we'll
Yeah.
be back
Hopefully,
tomorrow.
man. Inshallah. See y'all tomorrow. Assalamu
All right,
alaikum.
man. Like salam.